child is born, and to us, a daughter is given. The baby's healthy and came to earth with a clean slate. This family has the opportunity to write the first set of codes on the mind of their newborn.
I grew up in a loving family. I had all the love and attention I needed from my nuclear family. My mom always reminded me that I was created for a purpose and I should focus on discovering what it is. She was and still is my biggest supporter. She did all she could to support whatever project idea I came up with. No idea was too crazy or impossible, but my emotional and psychosocial development did not depend solely on my nuclear family. I struggled with low self-esteem as a child and teenager. I thought I had to do some extra work to please people so I could be accepted. I am the only dark-skinned person in my family. My parents and siblings are all light in complexion. Literally everyone called me Blackie. Immediately they met the other members of my family. It definitely wasn't a compliment, I knew it. This made me feel like I was not as beautiful as my fair-complexioned siblings. Trust me, I do not think they knew the negative impact of their words on a young, growing mind.
Self-esteem generally is an individual's subjective evaluation of yourself, and it involves your beliefs about what you've known and when growing up and who you are now. So if you look at an individual and say, okay, this person has a good self-esteem or positive self-esteem, because those are the words you can use, adjective, to qualify whether this person has self-esteem enough, or some people even use healthy self-esteem. Is the way the individual carries him or herself, the way the individual interacts with people, the way the individual even views him or herself. So for example, you tell somebody, oh, you look beautiful, they are doubting. Are you sure? So you know that person is definitely doubting his or her self-esteem, because if you are beautiful, you should actually even say it before an individual tells you how beautiful you are. So these are the things that we'll look at and say, okay, this person is somebody who is having challenges with his or her self-esteem. As adults, we overlook a lot of things, but when it comes to children, because those are the formative years for any individual, that is really where we look at self-esteem issues and quickly nip it in the bud in rectifying those challenges. So it could be good self-esteem, it could be healthy self-esteem, it could be positive self-esteem, but it all boils down to how much that individual views himself or views herself, how much this individual interact, how much this individual, exercise confidence and then take bold charge in view of whatever the individual is putting in his or her hands. Because with your good or positive self-esteem, even if you are doing something not good or wrongly, it will show or exhibit that confidence that this person seems to know what he or she is, even if it's rubbish, because of that self-esteem that you are putting in place, with the boldness and the enthusiasm that comes with it. It's just somebody that would say, okay, I think what you're doing is definitely wrong. It's not the way you're supposed to do it. And somebody with a positive and good or healthy self-esteem will be able to accept correction and look at it that they are not trying to bring her down, rather corrective ways to also help him or her to have a better self-esteem.
As a child, I did not go out to play like my siblings did. I spent my time in solitude, basically lying on my bed and daydreaming. I remember when I was about 5 or 6 years old, we were preparing for a Christmas carol in church. I was selected as one of the children who would sing the 12 days of Christmas. I was number 5, and I was supposed to sing the melodious 5 gold rings, but I couldn't. I was so shy. The teacher had to get a replacement, and I was moved to number 7. I was not confident enough in myself. That number 5 position was too important from what I heard, and the thought of not doing it well made me almost dumb when I should be singing loud.
People with low self-esteem, they're not good leaders too. They can't own up. They're not confident. They don't trust. They have no challenges even knowing who truly they are. So all that you promise your child this and you don't do it is not even a good thing. It rubs off on their self-esteem. Because they just believe that you just trick them just to get what you wanted at that time, yes.
We carried out a survey amongst 200 teenagers in order to assess their sense of self-esteem. Now, the results show that over 41% of the surveyed population had low self-esteem. 58.5% felt that they didn't meet up with the standards of their friends. 35.3% had reported they didn't like a part of their appearance, while 40% felt their friends looked better than them.
From GSS 1, I go to boarding school. I started seeing how some of my mates were muscular or tall or had, this beards growing and all that. So that's where I started getting worried because I wasn't muscular. I didn't even have interest in being muscular. So right now, I'm still working on getting fat. Not really fat, but like being fit, let me put it that way. So I'm not really, happy with being thin. There were times that I was talking with some guys and they would be like, "Guy, you're thin," or something like that. And there were times I was talking with some girls and they'd be like, "I like guys that are muscular." So they don't really say it directly, but to me it's like, what if I'm supposed to be with eventually, this person that likes someone that's muscular, how am I going to react and that kind of thing, all these worries and that. So I think I would have eventually, even if I didn't attend boarding school.
Sometimes I used to feel like I'm not beautiful. Let me feel about myself. My face is not beautiful. I used to look at many girls like me. They are pretty, they are really beautiful. But I used to still think that I'm not beautiful. Not that
we're all in the class, we're playing. Then we were doing a game called arm wrestling. We wrestle with ourselves, with our arms. So when we're wrestling, we notice that there will be like an increase in your muscle. Then I was now wrestling with one of my friends. Then I was wrestling, my muscles were just the same, and they just making fun of me, and I felt bad. When I got home, I told my mom. My mom told me not to worry, that there's no problem, that she likes me the way I am. I was like, okay.
My nose and my legs is always sweating. They used to abuse me then when I was in SS 1 and 2. So I had my nose on the side of a shoe. Also,
there was a time like that when a friend of mine came and was holding my hand. So we're running to something I can't remember, and he held my hand. I was like, "Guy, my entire hand is going around your wrists." Then he's not. That's how he measured. There's this thing we do. We take our finger and just do that kind of thing. And he found out that there was no space for 3 of his fingers to fit in, and I didn't find it funny. So I got mad at him. I shouted at him, and eventually I started thinking about it. I started noticing. That was when I started noticing majorly. That was when I started noticing that I was actually very thin.
When I got to junior secondary school, that was when, during our winter sports, I broke my leg. Then after some days, if they visit me in the hospital, they will be making jest of me. That was when one of the nurses told me that I should never mind them, that they are just using it as fun. Then I said, okay, since they are just joking with me, that I should just accept it. From then, most of my old friends, what they call me is Esekon. So
You don't call it name.
That is my nickname.
Esekon, what does it mean?
One leg. Not as I don't like the way I look. I do like the way I look, but sometimes people complain about it that my leg is not straight, I have a clear leg, but sometimes it used to make me angry. Actually, I like the way I look.
I remember back then when I was still small, I attended all these private schools, so like let me just say they bully me then. One thing about me I don't like is my hair. because my sister do tell me that, yes, mama, yeah. My sister do tell me that if I should have any grudges with anybody, the least thing I'll just tell the person, you cannot beat me, you just abuse me that I have a big ear. So my sister used to be like, that word is funny, like, the person cannot beat me. The last thing the person can do is just to abuse me, I have a big ear. And that thing do pay me a lot, because even when I go to secondary school level, they be like, this boy is good, everything, but it's just his ear. And I remember I have this Yoruba teacher back then in primary school. On assembly ground as the head boy back then, she'd be like, hey, big ear, come here. That thing pains me a lot, because even my juniors, they don't know me by name. Let me just say most of them don't know me by name. They just know me by senior big ear. That thing pains me a lot. And my primary school back then, most of them, they're all these rich people, Baptist going, they be like, that senior with big ear. Even if they see me outside, I saw that senior with big ear then. So even if I should go back to my primary school and just see some of the teachers, they be like, wow, see that big ear, senior, see. So let me just say my big ear. As an instrumentalist, maybe if you go out for any like show or concert, at times I do feel like, should I say it's because of my hair? Most of, like, let me say most girls don't walk up to me, because when we go for administration, at least if I don't lead with saxophone, I just back up with trumpet. But some ministrations or concerts that we have been going to, maybe when we get there, the ushers in like welcome us in a good manner. And when it's time for us to just minister, when we're about to leave, I do notice that most of my friends do get, let me say, enough attention from others. And at times I do feel lonely that, is it because of the way I look, my hair, or things like that? And this past stuff, is it still happening?
Low self-esteem has been shown in quite a number of mental illnesses as one of the, factors and or risk factor causes, because once somebody is dealing with low self-esteem, they are not involved in a lot of things that will even promote their mental health better. They practice avoidance, social withdrawal, not interacting well with people, not even involving themselves in social activities that will help them. So they do social exclusion as against social inclusion. And we do understand the benefit of social inclusion and social interaction. It's one factor that has been seen to boost our happiness level. So once somebody starts practicing those things that will not aid in his or her mental status or mental health abilities, then problems will set in, and low self-esteem is one of them. So yes, so it's very linked with issues with anxiety, depression, substance abuse. So because why do teenagers even go into substance abuse? To feel better, to do better, to enhance their skills, to even experiment. People with low self-esteem tend to, take it to, look, because you can't talk to that girl. When you take this, it will help you. So they will use it and they feel that, this is helping me. They feel confident at that point. They will go and meet the girl. The moment they can't really, the substance wears off, they go, what is that thing you gave me? Before you know what is happening, tolerance, dependence, addiction. That wasn't the intention. But now, because you keep going back there, you will never know when you cross the line and addiction result in it. So self-esteem is very key. Irrespective of the fact that there are other factors that are implicated in mental illnesses, but self-esteem is one thing. Because it's also when you have good or healthy self-esteem, you say, look, I'm not taking that. And I've read many literatures. My parents have also told me these things are not good. So why should I? If the girl doesn't like me, and then I'll look for somebody else. So you see where self-esteem is rubbing off on so many aspects of our lives that we need to be able to build on. So yes, it's highly linked, and studies have shown it worldwide too.
We provided the background to how a sense of self-esteem can affect other areas of a teenager's well-being. from the feeling of being uncomfortable with a certain physical attribute to feeling that others are more beautiful than they are. You see, all of these tend to contribute to the sense of low self-esteem amongst our teenagers. We've brought in adults to share their experiences as teenagers with you. The idea is for you to know that you're not alone on this teenage journey and that others have walked this path before you. Tighten your seatbelts as you might hear your story.
I'm the last of 6 children. I grew up in a family, 6 children, 3 boys, 3 girls. We were what I can say a middle-class family-ish at the time. I mean, things were good. I mean, we're the kind of family that would finish church on a Sunday and go to a papa club. That was like the standard modus operandi for like the first 10 years of my life. My father had a good job. He was working with a multinational, a beverage company here in Lagos, Nigeria. So yeah, I grew up was pretty much an amazing life from the age of 1 to 10. And then something happened at the age of 10 that sort of changed the lifestyle of life like I knew it. And that just started an interesting different type of upbringing than what I was used to in the first 10 years of my life. My dad lost his job at the time, the very good job that he had, and things changed, many things changed. I mean, first things first, we moved from where we had been living, which was a neighborhood that I was born in, which was somewhere off Allen. I'm an Ikeja Allen child. I went to Chrisland, Dokwebi. That was my whole life. And they had built a house which was somewhere in the hinterland of the hinterland, you know, after Agege. So when you go from Allen to Agege, it can be quite a change. Then there was the job loss as well. So life, the quality or the standard of life itself also changed. And you then started hearing things like, oh, we don't have money for this, and we don't have money for that. And at the age of 10, 11, 12, it can be quite an interesting, I don't understand. What is the money you don't have? You are supposed to, you know, provide this and that. So it was quite an interesting change. And I think at the time as well, I always say that I was meant to go to what I believe, I was meant to go to Queen's College at the time. My mother told me I was going to Queen's College and all of that. Somehow that didn't work out. And then I was sent to a school in Oyo State as a boarding child. It was quite a lot to swallow. Remember I said I was the last of 6. I have older ones. The firstborn in my house, maybe like 14 years older than me. So I was a last born, if you get what I mean by a last born. So everything was just jarring. All of a sudden, I'm in a secondary school where I'm carrying 50 liters keg on my head, fetching water. I'm like, I don't understand it. How did I get here? There were just too many things to get used to, and life evolved in a different way of sorts, yes.
Knowing that I am, in my genotype, I'm actually SS. Like I say, the doctors say I'm SS. Well, I really don't like calling myself that because of the way people view people living with sickle cell disorder. For them, they think the person is going to die in a few days, months, years. And, you know, growing up with my dad and my mom actually helped me a lot. So, growing up, my dad will always teach you the word, actually. And he made me learn how to depend on the word of God to survive whatever pain crisis I had to go through. But then, you know, a girl child, first child, who's going to clean the house? Mommy will say, all right, sweep the floor. We'll sweep today. Oh my God, sometimes you sweep and as you're bending to sweep, you begin to have crisis, waist pain, you stop your sweeping. And that was the era where I wasn't really being taken to the hospital. I was being treated in the house. So I would be on the bed 2 weeks crying in pains, taking hot cup of tea, paracetamol, Felvin. In short, you can imagine what kind of torture that would be. Felvin can't hold menstrual pain, so I don't know how it wants to hold bone pain. So, you know, I had to build some sort of mindset where you tell yourself, okay, yes, you know you're in pains, but let me rest. Let me just relax. You try and relax. And so like I now got to learn pain starts from the mind. So I start controlling, trying to rest my body, and eventually I'm able to sleep off and leave those pains behind. But the little consciousness you get and you're back into pain. So. But that didn't stop us. As soon as you're fine and you are strong again, you go back to sweeping. You go back to wash bathroom. You still wash gas cooker. Is it the stove? You clean it. You assist in cooking the food. The only thing they didn't let me do was carry water. As in, go and fetch water. No, as much as possible, my dad tried that. Whatever house he took had borehole, so there was always water. So, but initially I always thought, it's like my mom didn't love me until I got to the university and far away from home, you know. I was in Lagos. Grew up in Lagos. My parents in Lagos, and I was in Delta State schooling. And at this point, you want to go and fetch water. Who's going to help you carry the bucket of water? Nobody. You go to carry your water yourself, you know. And that days I knew I was going to break down. If I go ahead and carry that water, there's no way out. You are going to the health center. But I'll dare myself. I carry my buckets, gallons, go to the tap. Being the kind of campus I was in, that's the Anwine campus. You go some distance to get the water, and I'll carry the water. By the time I finish fishing, I just resolve, all right, crisis coming. As it's coming, I begin to go to the health center and submit myself for treatments, you know.
Growing up was good. I think the first 10 years was very good. We were like living in London. That's where we lived in my house. Everywhere was good. Like, I usually read books. We have schedules for books, meals, and stuff like that. For the first 10 years, I had everything I wanted. Yeah, I was happy when I was very young. At least the period of 0 to 10. Yeah. So I think those are the only memories I usually cherish the most. Because I used to remember when, okay, we don't really go out for stuff like that, but everything was okay in the house, yeah. Usually eat much. I'm this short, cute, fair, fine boy that time. I had fun when I was a very smart guy. I knew book very well, unlike now. But that's how the first thing was. So it's very nice. Everything changed. My pops was the kind of person who was not supposed to be a married man. He's among those set of men that are supposed to stay single and do whatever they want to do. So it started with him. He changed everything in the house. He was not faithful, and then my mom was very sick. Now she's still very sick. So that's what changed. It's not easy. Like, from 11 upwards, they were having marital problems that were affecting us as the children here. And the only reason I went to school, I think it started before 10 or 11, but it did not have an impact on me then. The only reason when it started, I went to school was because of my friends. I was just going to school to have fun, because when I get back home, it was not the 0 to 10 years I used to be thinking. I was just there.
Most times, teenagers experience various challenges, biologically, psychologically, emotionally, and socially. They are under pressure to fit into a certain mold designed by the society or their peers. A mold that may contradict their beliefs or values, but their state of mind is usually one trying to get a grip of the changes going on in their body and emotions. The desire to belong, to be accepted and acknowledged by their peers have forced many young people to make some bad decisions.
My teenage years I had a mixed feeling, you know. Growing up, there were times that I had good times, there were times I had bad times. If I should quantify it, I think that the bad times seem to be more than the good times, in the sense that maybe my family background contributed so much to how I felt as a teenager. Maybe let me just give you a hint of my family background. I came from a family we are still in the family as in 3 daughters, and my parents were divorced. So that divorce had a very negative impact in my life growing up. You know, there were times we would be in school. I was in primary school then, and that was, I think primary 4 or something. And people would be telling stories about their father, how they, tell family stories. And I realized I don't have any, because I was living with my mom, and it was a bad experience for me. My parents, even my mom, didn't know I had, this, I felt less of myself. When I'm in the midst of my friends, I don't talk, because they had stories to, even the kind of things they do in the family. I don't have a family like that. We are scattered. I was living with my mom. My dad had married another wife. My sister was living with somebody else. The other was, 3 of us were scattered. So we didn't have that family. That thing alone had a very negative effect on me. So growing up, I had a lot of reservations. I had a lot of challenges, especially because of my family background.
I went to a Boti primary school, so let's start with that. So I always wanted to go to the secondary school of the primary school to continue with staying with the Boti people, do you get? Because I'm a little girl from Agege, so it had this. But then no, my parents were like, oh, we can't afford it. You have to go to a different one. So I was going back to hood type of thing. But then it wasn't really like that. But that's how I felt it was. So then my esteem and my everything was, everything was just way, I was so enclosed.
My teenage years was very eventful. I'm just trying to think of various incidents that actually was an eventful one. I enjoyed it, even though there were some parts that may not beat so well. Of course, what we can call peer pressure today. I experienced a bit of it. But all the same, it was eventful. I can cite maybe just 1 or 2 examples. I know that I had growing up, I think this one, let me backtrack to the pre-teen age, even before the teen age. I had this issue with people talking down on me, probably because of something about you, either your plumpy or your face, the hair. I don't just know what it was in particular, but for me, I felt probably because I looked a bit more chubby than some of them, and they just may crack this some sort of joke that I consider personally as very, very unhealthy. And that got to me. At a point, I became very withdrawn. I love to stay by myself. I love to play by myself. I love to talk to myself a lot. Until a defining moment, there was a day that was actually like the defining day. I got to speak with someone, a teacher good enough. She was a teacher also, who told me, no, when he saw what happened, witnessed an incident, and said, no, Joy, no, don't react like this anymore. Anytime someone taunts you or make fun of you, you must build resilience. You must find a way of either fighting back. That, she gave me an example of 2 approaches that I could use, that you can either ignore, or you also look for something in the other person that you can also make fun of, crack, joke with. That's either of it. So for me, most of the time, I used to use the technique of ignoring whatever it is that you're telling me. And I also ensure that he doesn't show any longer. I don't show it, but I know that once I show that I'm pained, that what you said is has affected me in any way, I've given you the power, the edge to continue to, you are damaging my self-esteem. I think that helped a great deal. By the time I became a teenager, I didn't forget that principle. It really helped. But I still found myself most of the time, probably because I have built that over the years, still say, yeah, I enjoy the company of people, but I still love to stay on my own, talk and all that, talk to myself. I do a lot of self-talk. I think that went a lot way, and coupled with the background, the foundation that my parents also gave me. Yeah, we had that good Christian background, and so that's helped a lot. It helped a lot.
Generally, growing up was interesting, and at the same time, I'll say adventurous. I'm the fifth of 6 children, so I would say I came at about when there was recession in my family. They had used all the money to raise the older kids, and also because I came immediately after the twins, so there's a huge gap between me and the older kids. So they had enjoyed all the Kingsway, my father used to do photo shoots for them. But when it came to my turn, like, I came during recession. And it was like, there was even this cold war, like, why did she even come with my siblings? So I hope they won't get to hear this. But that's exactly how I feel. So I came, like I said, recession, and I came when they were always managing things. Managing things. So I grew up with that consciousness, sort of. Now when it comes to me, they're managing things. So when the older ones went to private school, I went to public school. So, but funny enough, I grew up and I enjoyed the school I attended, my primary school.
Honestly, I don't think I've overcome, how will I put it, what I'm going through. But I'm still in the process of overcoming it, because I'm still inside the dilemma, things like that. Because it's really hard, you understand? I live with my mom, I'm not with my dad. My dad is still alive, but I don't live with my dad. I only live with my mom, and she's a single mother, taking care of about 5 children, even though some of us are like not living with her. There are only like 2 that are with her now. You understand? The rest are, some are married, some are just outside the states, in another state, but still in Nigeria. So I have to like work for myself, you understand, feed myself. I've been feeding myself since I was in like SS2. Since SS2. I've been working. Once I close from school, I do some odd jobs outside just to like get something. So I've been like that for a long time, you understand? So it's a lot of pressure, I won't lie to you, but it's just like once you're going through, how will I put it? I don't know how to put it very well, but I think once you're going through a phase, you understand, and it will start, how would I put it? You start getting adapting, you understand, to the situation and things like that, you understand? So, but all the same, I'm still fighting to like go ahead and things like that. But sometimes I just like, I break down, you understand? But I just like come up also and just start moving and stuff like that, because I can't let myself down like that, because there's no one there to like bring me up. It's still me for me. So I just like relax and keep on pushing up, because sometimes I just sit there and I'm like just tired of life entirely. There's nothing and things like that, but I still find the courage somehow and keep on moving.
I didn't even let people know I was SS. Apart from my cousin who knew, I was staying with her. People didn't know until just a very few knew, because you don't want people looking at you as a weakling. That's actually what happens. Your eyes says, no, sit down one place. You say you get power. Sure, come on. What makes you feel the person doesn't have power? So I have to get to the point where, I'm sure if you ask many people about me, they will say she was a bit rude. Yes, I came out rude because I had to be on the defensive. You don't talk me down. So to help my self-esteem, so that you do not destroy me and make me get to the point where I am going to get depressed, I had to come back, bouncing back rude. I give it to you very harsh. And they were like, I can remember one day I was in school and a friend also was SS. She had crisis, was in the 9th. They called me, I went to meet her. Got her to the health center for her to take an injection. I was with her. As we were walking, a lady walked up to her. You will not hear word. Every time, awoko, reading at midnight. It's not me they spoke to, but it felt like me because for me, your essence, we are the same. I just faced her. What do you mean by that? What is it? What makes you different from her? Because your genotype is AA or AS. So you think you are important. Don't you ever in your life mention such a thing to her. If you can read at midnight, we can read at midnight. You know, it took extra energy to always pass the message to people because there's no way you're going to tell somebody very calmly, no, don't call me that. So, in short, it will not enter. You have to force the word in. It was always with force, and the nice me faded. It just faded. I had this ready to fight attitude, and then a mind your business owner. I just keep to myself, sort of, and just because I don't want insults.
From financial challenges to being body shamed, these adults have shared how they felt growing up under such circumstances. Did any of the stories resonate with you? Someone else has been through the same experience that you are going through now. We have defined what low self-esteem is, and we have shown you that you are not the first to go through such pressure at school or at home. Now, we would explore what can cause people to develop low self-esteem.
Every individual, whether you are a child, whether you're a teenager, or you're a young adult or a matured adult, the truth is that you all came from a family, which is the primary unit for that individual. So there are some certain things individuals go through, especially teenagers, which we are now really classifying here. And when you talk about teenage, you are talking about the 13s to the 19s. So it's specific, and these are children mainly in their secondary school or what we call high school, depending. And some of them are even actually in the university because these teenagers go to start colleges now very fast. At 19, some of them are even out of colleges. And what can actually threaten their self-esteem, and what I've even seen in practice, oftentimes they are the beliefs that the parents have inculcated in them, the way their upbringing from the family system. It gets them wired that way, making them feel inadequate, making them feel they are not enough, making them feel less of who they are. So for example, you are from a family where both parents are always jumping and fighting, and so there's domestic violence in the bigger picture. That child's self-esteem can be threatened because what he or she sees every time is violence around him or her. And they just believe that any little weird sound or they'll just run away. So they practice avoidance rather than standing to confront that. Also, family where one or both parents is very fond of shouting. Let's narrow it down. Nigerians, we shout. Let's not go there. We shout, but we parents, we have to caution ourselves. Because even studies have now shown that shouting on our children affects their mental health. Because with time, the child will tell him or herself, he's not shouting. And so you make that child stubborn. You have to be able to approach things in more logical ways and letting the child see what he or she has done. I give you a typical example. Your child broke a plate in the kitchen, which is very common. All of us have done it. Our parents will break plate. It's their plate. Nobody should question them. But now your child has broken plate, and then you are screaming that plate is what they use during your marriage. That was what they gathered for you. So all that, you make a whole lot of noise, beat the child, spank the child. The child may be bleeding. You are not looking at that, but you are looking at the fact that the plate that you got married with in 1957, the child now has broken it in 2001. That is a minus. So you can let the child know, my dear, that plate, you know you are a very good boy. You do a lot of things for me there. So you are very domesticated. You'll be doing this, you'll be doing this. However, you have broken my most treasured plate. How do we go about it now? the child, no, you've already told the child something good about the child, and then in between you inserted that, however, kind of, this is what you should have done differently. Maybe you should have watched it, in a different place as against where it did, or you could have taken it out, waited later before. So you make that child understand that adversities will come. How that child will face those adversities is very key. You are not helping that child build resilience, because these things adversely affect the resilience of anybody. Because if it's only shout, 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 when that child is faced with adversities as an adult, there's no resilience, nothing that he or she will fall back on to help in facing those challenges. They are remembering the shouting, the beating, you are not going to eat today kind of punishment that are punitive. So truly, these are ways that we have seen, because for us as mental health practitioners or mental health physicians, the truth is that we have seen children with low self-esteem, having anxiety issues, having depression, and of course, we all know these days what is happening. The drug abuse is becoming a menace in the society. And we have seen as young as 9-year-old taking his or her life. And people outside be wondering, what will a 9-year-old be thinking about? Why will a 9-year-old kill him or herself? The child may just be dealing with some certain things in the house that nobody knows. Only him or her understand that. So we have to help our children build their self-esteem, primarily as their parents, before they go to school, where the teachers also add. And that's why as parents, when your child is in a school where the teachers are not helping him or her build their self-esteem, no matter how beautiful the school is, no matter how good the school is, please intervene immediately. Because if it rubs off on that child, the moment your child leaves you and starts school, they begin to spend more hours in school than with you. So if that rubs off on their self-esteem, you may not get that child back, because you always be on that side doing damage control while the school is robbing him of her self-esteem.
Growing up was kind of hard, let's go there. Because if I should say, changing school one, family problems, my mom and my dad, different things, which I should not say outside. I would say it was hard.
When I started growing, I knew my mom as a very. My mom is so hard, but if you want to talk to her, she'll just be like, what do you want? What do you want? But with time, I started developing the art of being, how will I say it? The art of being very, I don't use to my mom. If I want anything, I used to go to my dad. I'm not so free with my mom then. So my father was like, the way you are going to all these children, it's going to affect you, because when you need anything or when you started shouting on them, they will just see you as a wicked mom. So my mom was like, if I don't speak to them like that, they will not be afraid of me. So with time, it changed. Within a token of an hour, it stopped the art of beating us. That's the first step. That's the first thing to stop. The way she beat us, the way she used to beat us.
Like I said, I wasn't really exposed to the issues of life growing up. So I didn't have any issues with finances or anything. So to me, life was just, I want this, I get it, that's the end. So it was when I left boarding school, I started having these issues with, seeing how my parents would try to hide it, but it wasn't really covered up. Like, I had to leave boarding school because it was getting too expensive. Actually, it was a very expensive boarding school anyway. But, I started getting worried from then, like, why did I have to leave? I wanted to leave because I was tired of the bullying, but at the same time, I also wanted to stay because it made me feel, being in boarding school made me feel mature, like I could take care of myself. So, times I felt inferior was, I attended this Christian Center, and we joined 2014, and I didn't want to change my church because I really hated change. I liked things being the way they were, and then me being able to go through the same routine I had and not having to change it for relationships. I always had a plan for my day every day. So I hated having to change it. So it's Sunday, I woke up and was getting ready for church. I just came back from boarding school. I was getting ready for church. When my mom said, we're going to a different church today. And I said, what church? And she said, Pastor Sam's church. So I always loved Pastor Sam, especially because of his hairstyle. I always adored his hairstyle, but I didn't want to attend his church. I felt it was like, no, let's just stay here. So I cried, I struggled, but we still went anyway. So, but immediately I got there, I saw the environment and how swoosh it was, how posh it was. And I felt, immediately I started feeling withdrawn again. Like I said, I'm partially introverted. So there are times I prefer to stay on my own. I mean, like, I stopped smiling, like I was always like greeting people I saw and things. So I stopped smiling, I just stayed on my own. And I think that was really when I started feeling inferior. When I started seeing things that, made me feel like, this person has this, why don't I have it? So, yeah, and I also go to places at times, like the cinema, with some other people, and they do things or are able to get things that I can't get, and immediately I feel inferior. But thank God I've been able to keep it in check.
And most of my friends, let me not say that I come from a rich background, but instead, they get money in one or two ways. So I try to influence them in terms of having IQ, but instead they'll be like, okay, knowledge is power. But me now, how much I have, I don't know, seems to weaken my morale, all those kind of things. That's what it is now.
Like my mom, sometimes she doesn't understand me. Like she doesn't allow me to like talk. Like if I say something, she will not allow me to finish it. She'll just start attacking me. Like a situation whereby I did something, I came late from school and she was waiting for me. She didn't even allow me to explain myself that why did I come for school. Meanwhile, I was having exams. I was doing my mock exam, which took time. So she didn't allow me, and that's not the first time. So
whether you like it or not, whether it's children now or children then or children anywhere, there is a certain way that who you are or who your father is or what you have, quote and unquote, forms a certain sense of identity or esteem in your mind, whether you know it or not. Whether you're 6-year-old, I don't know how it is formed, but somehow, it is formed, So when certain things happen, no matter how young the age is, it might then, especially if that's not what you were born into, so it's not what you are used to, it might then begin to change sort of how you see yourself or the perception that you have about yourself and your family. So for me, it just seemed like the worst of the worst that happened to us. And all of a sudden, I remember one time I wanted to do my hair, which was going to cost 200 naira. And I mean, maybe it was many years ago, but even then, 200 naira just seemed like 200 naira. My father said he didn't have, and I couldn't understand it, like 200 naira. I mean, all I want to do is weave my hair all back. It's not like I'm doing color braids or anything of the sort. And whether you know it or not, and then I went to a school where you had the children of the rich in that state. That was like the school that they would send their children to. So there was already a status kind of thing in the school. I mean, there were times when visiting day will come and nobody came to visit me. So I ran out of even things as basic as Gary. I mean, if you run out of conflicts, we understand. Run out of Milo is okay. And when you run out of Gary, you know there's problem. Gary of all things. I mean, I used to soak and travel like it was no man's business. I was soak in the morning, go to school, go to class, and come back. I mean, my life was that intense. So I just used to feel like there was a problem somewhere. Like, no. There's really a problem. And this is, you're in a school where some people are bringing out rich tea. Those days were days of rich tea, digestive. They'll tell you something from London. Me, I've never even reached London. Plain safe. I don't think I've entered at that time in my life. It did something to identity, and it does something to your self-esteem that you don't realize that it is doing many times until when you now grow up and you now begin to need to make decisions by yourself, or you want to get employed in a company, or you get employed in a company and you just feel that the next person that has this nice shoe is better than you, that you just have this, it affects a lot of things. But at that teenage age, even then in secondary school, it was also affecting a lot of things as well that you don't realize. I mean, there were people that used to wear look sandals to school, and there were those that used to wear the sandals. So I remember one particular holiday, I told my dad, I said, whatever you're going to do, I'm not buying look sandals. Like, wherever we're going to get this money from, please, I have to wear sandal that is not like, and it wasn't a status thing. A part of you just wanted to be like, they don't have 10 heads now, you know. And God bless his soul, he's passed away now. We went to Lagos, he got the money, we went to Lagos market. We bought this sandal that you would have thought I was the princess. Like, I was so proud of those sandals. Every day I wore them in school. I just felt like, hey, I'm not wearing look sandals.
I went to Botti primary school. Like, in my primary school, like, parents would come pick their kids, like, happening cars, like, and then my mom was driving a Benz E190. Now, the car wasn't, it was a nice car, definitely, but then the under was, like, bad. So if it rains, water is going to enter the car. And we all have to raise our legs up. But the car was, it just didn't fit. Like, there was no AC. Like, other guys, like, students, when they come to pick them, you know, like, these people are wealthy. But for us, it wasn't like, it didn't just, so it was like, the car, sometimes my mom won't even come with car, the car is bad. So I have to jump bus. Then I'm seeing my mates go in car. And then me. Like, we're like one of like part of the 1% that had to enter bus, like walk down, like walk to like the junction. So everybody knows our school uniform. And they're now gonna enter bus to go home. And when we get home, what are we going to eat? Normal too. But then in my school, like my mates will be talking about, oh, they are going to, I didn't even know kids could travel out of Nigeria. I won't even lie. Until like I was in primary 4 and then I heard people arguing about London and America. I even thought London and America were in the same place because, are you serious? Disneyland, wow, what's that? What's that place called? So that, then when I became fat, my father didn't like it. He would always speak down on me because I was fat. But then my mom was like, oh, it doesn't, she liked me being fat. Like, he made us so happy, like, I could wear her clothes, like, we could be sisters. It made us so happy, like, even though, like, I told her I wanted to lose weight, she was like, no matter what you do, like, just do it for yourself. Like, she really encouraged me. Like, she made me realize, oh, you're beautiful, yeah. But then my dad, but later I had to, like, he accepted me.
The things that trigger a sense of low self-esteem could seem little, but they have deep-rooted consequences, even for a lifetime. Parents have a major role in determining the sense of self-worth of their children. So we need to pay more attention to this. We continue to explore how our family background affects our sense of self-esteem and how the experiences we go through growing up forms our sense of self-worth.
Okay, my pops, he decided that he was no longer involved. I think when I was 13, I saw he disowned us, the children. So we were like, we were still living together, but he did not sleep in the house, yeah? He had his own special place, still in the same compound, yeah? But he never came into the house. So we were just like living with my mom, and that's how we went on. I did not have a father from, I think, 11 upwards because we did not flow with him the way he wanted us to. Comparing it to how I was living in London then, when I was younger, I had this Superman cape suit, like, oh, I told you that I had fans. So when I wear my Superman cape and I run around the streets, with my hands, Superman, the rest of the children, they are following me. I'm the leader of Justice League, but then everything changed. No support, no love from Pops. He never bought anything for us. So we're just dependent on mom, and she was sick. She had hypertension, asthma, and she has heart problems as well. So the things she was doing before, she was not able to do them. And the only reason she still stayed was because of us. If our pop would train us, at least we would then grow up, because she was not able to do those things. It got to the point that it affected my senior sister, so she moved away. And affected my older brother. Then let me see, he did not know how to handle it, so he messed up. So it was just only me. So I trained myself. I practically like I went to government school. So sometimes in school they will tell you to bring money for some stuffs. I had to sometimes work after school, so I paid those stuff by myself. So I practically trained myself.
Growing up from childhood, I grew up with my mom. As I said before, there was no dad. My mom always tells me the story that my dad left when I was like 5 months old. That was pregnancy, 5 months old. That's when they departed. And my dad, it's a polygamous house. My dad has 5 wives. 5 wives. My mom was the second wife. My dad has 5 wives. So I didn't grow up with my dad. I grew up with my mom. I grew up in a very bad area. Understand? But by the grace of God, at least I'm still a little bit good. Because I was born in Motion and raised up in Oshodi. So it's, my story is somehow tragic a little bit.
Many things change, good and bad. For bad, yeah, it really affected me. Okay, academically, usually when I was in junior school, I came first position always till, okay, it started in JSS3, then next thing I jumped from first to 23, and nobody cared. I come back from school and with my own exam results here, I don't show anybody what I score. It was just like everything was just there. No, there was no love again. Nobody cared. You just had to leave. It was just plain. And then when I got to senior secondary school, I almost even repeated my SS2 because, like I said before, I did not go to school to go to school sick. I go to school to have fun. Go to school to play ball, to stay with my friends, talk, just waste the time. Sometimes I go to school and I don't come back. I come back to like 6. Nobody will say anything. So it changed. It was not easy. Not easy at all. I should say I'm a strong person because I never really talked about it outside. Or like that last interview we did. I'm one of those people who bottled it inside my mind and I'll sink it down. But when I got out from secondary school, there was this period of time I don't usually talk. Like I wake up in the morning and I don't talk to anybody, and nobody can. I still had that lead in the house when I was very young. That I could make decisions and nobody can say anything else because that's just how it is. So emotionally, there was this time I felt numb. I was just there. I was usually very sad, always sad. With my cute fake face child. Yeah, I know I was very cute when I was small, so I am proud to say it, but not now. I have an old face now.
At about age 9, I began to notice that I could not use my right hand like everyone else. I was constantly called a lefty. In some cases, I was scolded for using my left hand. My mom told me about the incidents that took place during my birth. How the nurse pulled my right hand as I was being delivered, and as a result, my hand was dislocated. So for the first 10 months or so of my life, I was undergoing physiotherapy. My right hand was never the same again. I got accustomed to using my left hand. I felt like someone who had a deformity in her right hand. Every time someone said anything about my left-handedness, I withdrew into a shell. I was very self-conscious, overly conscious of my right hand. I was ashamed. My mom tried. She always told me it was not a deformity, that I wasn't born this way, that it was an accident, and that the nurse paid dearly for her mistake. But it wasn't enough for me to find closure. In trying to hide my hand, I preferred to wear long-sleeved clothes. I was not comfortable wearing anything that would expose my right hand. I did all I could to hide it. My self-esteem eroded faster. I avoided activities that would need me using my right hand in public. I did not want to be seen in front during a photo session. I did not even want to take photographs. My attraction to the piano was the first thing I can remember that made me ignore the challenge I had with my right hand. I wanted to learn how to play by all means. At age 13, I learned how to play the piano. I started playing in church even to my undergraduate days on campus. Learning the piano was not easy for me. My right hand always posed a challenge. The feelings of inadequacy crept up again, and I haven't played in public for a very long time.
The family is a major culprit at this point in time. Every child, whichever family you are from, whether it's an orphanage that you are growing up from, whether you are with your guardians, whether you are with your real biological parents, whether you are with mom and stepfather or dad and stepmom, that primary unit play a major role in your self-esteem. If they don't help you achieve it, you find that you always keep struggling. Yes, you may be able to develop it if you go to a school that focuses on those soft skills. Because some schools will just focus on academia, but schools can also help. That is why these two major environments, your home environment and school environment, they are major players. By the time you start working, your self-esteem is already formed. So at that point in time, it's not really whether it's self-esteem issues or not self-esteem, it's mainly personality. That is this person's personality coming to play. But your self-esteem, your parents and your teachers, they play a very significant role. And once we get it wrong, it affects the child so negatively that emotional, psychological issues then come in. Some of the children even feel traumatized because they always believe that they are not enough, they are not adequate. And they see other children assuming a whole lot of, confidence, a lot of self-worth, because self-esteem, self-worth, self-confidence, they all go on the same spectrum. So if you don't have that self-esteem, your self-worth and self-confidence is also affected. So when they see other children projecting that, they will what is so you see some children, other children always gravitate towards them, and you're wondering what do they have more than what these other children are. Is that self-esteem that makes them very confident? They do that even if they are not doing it well. You see other children wanting to do that wrong step they are doing because they are doing it in a confident way. So we need to, family is highly linked, whether physically, whether scientifically. We all know the family play a very significant role. So parents need to get it right. Go back to intentional parenting so that you'll be intentional in helping your child build the self-esteem that he or she needs to excel in the world that we are in.
Another thing that I think for me also affects self-esteem, especially in this part of the world, is how our parents raised us. I think that's something that is very strong. African parents raise you thinking that the more negative they speak to you, the more positive you become. So you can go home and they say, oh, didn't you see Lagbaja? She did better than you. She did this, she did that. Oh, I just heard that Kinikon's child is somewhere. And they are telling you those things to make you feel as if you would, because of that comparison factor, yes. But what comparison does is actually the opposite. So it just continues to make you feel less and less and less and less of yourself. And I mean, yes, I had parents like that who, well, I have only one set of parents. I makes myself, I had many parents, you know. But my mom was like that. God bless her, she's alive. She mustn't watch this. She's an amazing mother. Mommy, I love you. But, you know, she also just felt like the way to bring out the best in you a lot of the time was with, you know, words that were just very strong. But those words did the opposite. And for parents watching this as well, for me, it's very important to watch what you say to your children. If you want a positive result, speak a positive word. It doesn't work the other way around. If you want a negative result, no problem. Continue to speak the negative words. But you cannot tell the child, no, you're bad children, omo jati jati, that's like useless child. Omo rede rede. All you have is jati jati and rede rede. You know, and that is what a lot of young people are facing. You are speaking words to them, but you want another outcome. It doesn't work that way. You have to speak what it is that you want. I learned that growing up, I've had to consciously, I got to positions in life. When I say positions, I don't mean like outward. I mean, I got to situations in life where I had to ask myself, why are you acting like this? Why are you thinking like this? Why are you responding like this? And I had to tell myself, oh, Tony, it is what you've heard for so many times growing up. And then I had to do that conscious job of, okay, then re-speaking or consciously truly believing. I mean, I look at other people sometimes and I'm like, why is this girl so confident? Why am I not like this? I mean, this was way back. And then by the time I hear their story, I'm like, no wonder, hey, God, I didn't have that kind of brain up. Oh. Father, you have to help me, you know, because, but it's a struggle. And it's better if you don't make me have to have that struggle in life.
Parents of the 21st century need to unlearn the parenting techniques of the 19th century. There is a lot to unlearn, learn, and relearn to raise a healthy teenager and adult. We will continue to highlight some of the things that trigger a sense of low self-esteem.
There was something people didn't like about me. Oh, wow. So when I sleep, I snore. Wow, it was really bad then. But then I wasn't fat, so why would I snore? And I figured I couldn't breathe well. But like it was so bad. And then one day, during devotion, like morning devotion, I was sleeping. Sleeping during devotion. And then this girl hits me. I was like, why are you disturbing me? Funny thing is, she's my friend. So I took it, I really didn't forgive her up until like a year or two ago. A year or two, yes. I told her about it and she was like, she didn't even think, but then that thing hurts me so bad. Like, guy, like she really woke me up just to see I was snoring. Like, guy, I know I'm snoring, thank you. But yeah, that snoring actually, people tell me, you snore so bad, like I know. So it's like, it made me very insecure. Like I'll wait for everybody to sleep. Actually, I'll wait for everybody to sleep before I sleep. And it's like when I'm sleeping, I'm trying to like hear myself snore. And then if it gets like really bad, noisy in my ear, I'll wake up. She gets to hear, that's it.
Growing up, a lot happened within. So I didn't really have friends because I felt that, I'm sure they may not understand that I felt they were better than me because I had so much flaws. I think what failed was because from home, I felt I was not needed. And okay, you asked the question that someone said that I was not needed. Nobody said that. But I've also heard my sister at one point say that it's important that you don't have too much children. That if our parents had just 4, it would have been fine. So that thing, till now I still remember some of those things, and I'm like, so my mother should have aborted us or something. Until what helped me was when this camp meeting, I heard of this camp meeting, Teenagers Outreach Ministries. It was a Christian camp for teenagers. So I decided that I would be going. So just to meet new sets of people. So I decided to go. And that changed the game. I now met these friends. 4 of us, I was the only girl amongst them. So what also made us close? Books. So we started talking about Sidney Sheldon. That was what made us, brought us together. And then at some point, when we needed to do sword drills, we were competing against each other. So I got interested in them and they got interested in me. So it was a healthy competition for me and I enjoyed it.
When that stuff happened, I got away from secondary school, 2013 year. It was very, very difficult at that point in time. I had to be the designated husband, the father, and brother also. Okay, I immediately started working when I was out of school. Like I started working before I was out of school, and I officially started working when I was out of school. So I helped stuff for a long period of time. Yeah, come back, save money. I worked in different places. So it was not that easy. It was not that easy. Then I would see some of my friends who graduated together from secondary school. They're already in university, or they're already doing something that's reasonable. And some of them graduated from university, and I'm still there like, what is it? Well, for me, the main problem was that I would say I wasn't planned for. Let me say, just me. We were not planned for. It just came. My parents did not have plans for us. But I don't know if they had. But it turned out that we were not planned for, because if we were when we were out of school, maybe we learn a trade if they can't afford school. But it was just we had to make the decisions for ourselves. Mine was make money, buy food, do this. I was not a fashion person. It was just work. At least we'll be able to eat in the house, since we're not dependent from pops again. And moms is not that very strong.
I faced different sets of challenges that shook my self-esteem as a teenager. One was the fact that everybody, and I mean everybody, said I did not walk properly, that I walked like a boy and not a girl. I always found a way around their comments, but in my quiet moments, I would wonder if that was why I did not have a boyfriend. Don't get me wrong, I had many boys as my friends, but I did not have the type of relationship some of my classmates had with other boys. The other challenge I went through was that they said I had yam legs as against the beautiful, straight legs a girl should have. They said no man would want to marry me if I did not change the way I walk and do something about my yam legs. I was a teenager. My self-esteem was totally damaged. I struggled. I cannot tell you exactly how I survived each hurdle without giving in to the pressure from my peers at the time. The pressure to try to change how I look or walk so I can be accepted by my peers. The temptation to prove to my peers that the way I walk does not make me less of a lady by giving in to the young boys that were toasting me.
If you look at me very well, I have bow leg. So, people tell me that, she has bow leg. She has bow leg. And that made me, cringe. I don't like it. So, and you see me wearing long, clothes. And okay, my mother's church also, they wear long things. Though I don't really like the type of clothes that they wear, because it's maxi, but it's also helping me cover that deformity, as in quotes. So I didn't like it, and I always, when people are saying that you're a fine girl, they see my face, or maybe I answer a question or something, I do something good. If you commend me for something good, I won't see that good. I will remember my leg. Is that bad? So something that helped me is something that should be negative, but somehow it helped me. When I got into the higher institution, there's this lecturer that anytime he sees me, he says, this girl with bow leg, I will marry you. I will like, what's wrong with this man? This is something it's like I dreaded it, I didn't like it. Growing up, people abused me, in secondary school, look at you, you have a bow leg, you'll be a footballer, and I love to play ball, But because of that, they see me like is thing that a man should have, is boys that have bow leg and they play ball well. That kind of different, so when I play ball and I play well, it's if you're a boy, you have a yam leg. All those kind of abuse. what kind of life is this? Why did God make my leg to be bow? You know, so I didn't want to expose the leg. I didn't want to. So until I got into university, into high institution, so the guy would tell me, I will marry you because of your leg. Ah, this leg, that he likes it. So I said, so somebody can like this leg. Do you understand? So if one thing about that one is that, okay, he could have, what I'm thinking is that if that guy had pressured me more, you find out that that thing he's saying could get me to do something wrong. Do you understand? So he could use that because it's something people didn't like. He appreciated it in me. So it's made me like him for appreciating that. But because I didn't like that lecturer-student relationship, I hated it. So it was a no-no for me. And I passed his call. He had no point to tell me you must sleep with me. No. So he took it as play. So he would just play. But that thing helped me. It helped my self-esteem. It's okay. If somebody can like me because of my leg, that means the leg is not entirely bad. Yeah. Do you understand? So I started putting on trousers, started wearing skirts, you know, because somebody has told me something good about it. So until I got older and understood that all of those things don't matter, I started putting more words into myself, talking to myself, telling myself that what is inside of me is more than the physical attribute. I should, you know, think more of equipping myself with, you know, both word of God, with what I should know. You know, when people talk with you, they should have content. So they don't look at your physical appearance, that girl is intelligent. So all those kind of things, I began to talk to myself to build my self-esteem. But some of these things, my background and that bow leg was a bad thing for me, really. Secondary school was not, in fact, I used to fight. In secondary school, just one thing, I would just fight. Because you tell me that my leg is not, so I will look for something, and I seem to have small power. So if it's to, I will fight, so that, you know, something to overshadow that, or
yeah. A way of coping. Yeah.
Exactly.
Using the aggression to cope with whatever they were saying about.
Exactly. So if you tell me anything wrong, I would rather, you know, aggression. And nobody was actually telling me to, you know, I don't know then if they even understood to talk to students about esteem and all of that. So nobody was telling us anything. We were just going to school, coming back. Our parents didn't know anything. So, yeah.
I would like you to share your experiences. Have you had to battle low self-esteem? What are the things that triggered those feelings? Next on BYL.
As a young person in today's world, the pressure is real. The pressure is real. However, the pressure can be overcome. You must know from a young age who you are.
Guy, why are you so fat? Why are you this fat? What are you eating? But you guys complained I was skinny. Like, I know I overdid this fat thing, but like, just accept me how I am. Like,
the first thing that I did that I was actually very, very proud of was learning photography. I was like, that was a breakthrough in my life, honestly, because my life was useless. I was working at the mall. If you work at the mall, you think you have everything. You have free Wi-Fi, you have free food, and you're there. But until it makes you useless.
I know many of you are struggling with certain stereotypes or standards your peers have set as appropriate. Yours might not be the color of your skin, an injured arm, or the way you walk. It might be something totally different. I feel you.